Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. I'm your host Ashwin. I'm joined by DJ, who is currently traveling. So DJ is in India right now, so without podcast mic, without all the equipment, but we're here because it's an important day to record. DJ, the joy of having done a podcast for as long as we have is we've had all the highs, including 2-3 weeks ago, the Women's World Cup victory, and you and I got to live all the highs. And then you get to live the really, pardon my language, the really shitty days like this one, where India has lost at home at the Eden Gardens on day 3, about halfway through day 3 of a test match against South Africa. DJ, how are you doing, man? Let's get right into it. What an introduction, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I'm feeling because on Friday, I think it was when the test match started, I was actually, funnily enough, on a call with some South African clients.
Oh, no.
And of course, I mentioned the cricket, and they weren't doing that great in the first innings, right? They were about 140 for 8 or something. So just like maybe I'll throw in a line about the cricket here. I'm pretty sure they'd be pretty happy after Sunday because what a turnaround it's been. The World Test champions, right? They are the reigning World
Yeah,
Test
absolutely.
champions. Came away from Pakistan with 1-all. Look, well
This
played
is
to South
important, by the
Africa.
way. Sorry, before you get further into it, you said they came away from Pakistan. They had a training camp in the UAE. Then they went to Pakistan and played 2 tests. And now they've come here. They've come prepared. Yes, it's 2 tests. Yes, it's against India. But they are World Test champions and they've come prepared. What have we been doing? Our skipper has been in Australia till a few days ago. I mean, it's easy to go on rants and tangents and it could have ended all fine. But the level of preparation from Team South Africa versus Team India was very evident. Sorry, DJ, I cut you off. But you
No,
mentioned Pakistan, and that is such an important part of how they've managed their calendar.
yeah. And it's a great point because we should talk about Shubman Gill's workload because yes, you lost this game by 30 runs. Look, we should talk about the pitch because perhaps it looked like a little bit of a lottery by the end of it. Um, and but not having one of your best players there, how much did that affect? I'm not saying he would have made the extra 30 runs. We could have got out for 2 ducks. Well, he scored 4, right? So maybe he would have got out for 4 and 0, and
Yeah.
that wouldn't have changed things. But we should talk about workload management. We should talk about preparation. We've now lost 4 out of the last 6 home tests, and
Yep.
2 of those were the ones against the West Indies. The last 2 big series, let's say, West Indies, I don't want to denigrate them, but they're not a big series, right? They're not a Sena country, for example. Let's just go with that. So we've lost to the Z, and now we've lost a first test match to the S, and we're on the verge of losing another series in. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
Like, it
listen,
puts a lot of
just
pressure
to
on all of
validate
us.
your point, by the way. South Africa's 3rd in the Test match championship ranking, or Test match rankings, excuse me, men's rankings, but obviously World Test champions. New Zealand is 5th. West Indies is down at 8th. So it's not that we're undermining the importance of that 2 wins, but it is a difference when you play the team who's ranked in 8th, below Pakistan, below Sri Lanka, compared to playing a top 5 team. So lost against New Zealand. Let's get into this game, DJ. On paper, 159 from South Africa, and then India's batting. I'm trying to make sure I have the exact score right, but India's batting at 109 for 2 when Rahul gets out, and you're thinking, great, we should still make 250 plus, get more than enough. There were demons in the pitch from day 1, and we'll come back and talk about the pitch. But honestly, you're feeling that at the end of day 1, and probably even at the end of day 2, honestly, you're feeling like this is India's to have, right? Is that fair?
I think even at I think even at the end of day 2, as you say,
Yeah.
this felt like an Indian win. They were effectively 63 for 7, right?
Yep.
But you've mentioned when Rahul got out, he kind of poked at one. I think went to slip right in the first innings. There was spin. The pitch was disintegrating. But if you ask Gautam Gambhir, that's what he wanted, right? Like it's
It's
what he
fine.
ordered and
Yeah.
it's what you get. It's like, yeah.
We'll come back to that one because I want to talk more about obviously the pitch, and because you said you made a specific comment that it was a bit of a lottery at the end of it, but that was our decision,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right or wrong, home team, especially in India, we've seen has influence over curators. let's just run down the game then very quickly. 159 all out. Let's start with, it's hard to think about the positives
Bumrah.
right now, but let's start with Jasprit Bumrah picking up another
Incredible.
5 for
Incredible.
in home conditions. Just unbelievable. I
Losing
mean,
another
all
test
this,
match.
yeah,
It's
in another
like there's that whole thing about
lost.
how whenever Bumrah plays, we lose.
Man, I forgot about it. I wasn't really thinking about it from that lens. But yeah, that's maybe his bad luck. And then as we talk about, like I said, 159 on the board, let's talk about first the batting order and the decision to leave out Sai Sudarshan, who has been picked as the number 3 for the future, the one to watch because of his potential, etc. Yes, he's had some rough outings of late. Talk to me about Washington Sundar at 3. I should quickly tell you, I feel really good about it as a long-term play. I actually felt really good about what I saw from him in this test too. In the midst of the house of cards that was falling, I felt good about Sundar. But talk to me about that selection. Were you surprised by that? When Varun and I did our preview, obviously, neither of us had Sundar at 3.
What did you guys have? Jurel at 3? I should
The
probably.
debate was Jurel at 3, or do you play Sai and Jurel and then reduce the insane number of all-rounders that we seem to be
Yeah.
predisposed to
Okay.
want in the side?
Look, I would have probably gone for Jurel at 3 just because of what form he's been in.
Yeah, Varun's argument, just to be clear, and it's clear you haven't listened to last week's episode, obviously, but Varun's argument was he's made heaps of runs for you at 6, right? Like, what are you doing? Why would you, he's in phenomenal form. Why suddenly, like, this is what we did with Rahul for years. Think about how long Rahul didn't have any settlement in his batting position for. Now, it's been less than a year, really, truly, that he's been opener and has really cemented his spot there. But anyway, so Varun's argument was Jurel's been a good lower order pick for you. Don't mess with him.
No, fair. I was glad to see him in the side. I'm probably the biggest Jurel fan here on the podcast.
And dude, even for the moments that for the few positive moments in this match, he looked so freaking good. Just his beautiful cover drives. He had a square drive at one point, which was just magnificent. So anyway,
it's the eye test, right? Like when it's how he looks when he shapes up. And look, Sai would be disappointed. I think he got 87 in the last test match he played at the Oval. Is that right? He got 87
I don't remember, man.
Oh, no, he got 87 against the West Indies.
That was at home.
Yeah, so I think he got 87 against the West Indies. So that was I think that is his highest test score. Look, he'll be disappointed to be left out, but he hasn't. Like, it's competitive, man. Like, the Indian test side is one of the best in the world usually. As I caveat that. I can see why they wanted to fit in the extra bowling.
He made 87 in Delhi, confirming.
Yeah. So I can see why they wanted to fit in the extra bowling. Sai is not a slam dunk. He hasn't made himself undroppable. And once you do that, like, there's people like Sarfaraz that have scored lots of runs in home conditions and are still not in. So if you've not cemented your spot with like big hundreds, it's really hard to stay in the Indian test side. So the interesting thing was Washi at 3 now. He's also scored lots of lower order runs, right? But like, people have long said that he's a better batter than bowler. And we didn't give him a lot of bowling in the team. He played almost as a pure batsman. I would have preferred Washi lower down the order because he has scored his runs there. He may well become a sort of Ganguly or Steve Smith in due course, right? I don't know, like the guy who started off Steve Smith started off batting 8 and as a leg spinner. So what do I know? Like, one of the best batters of all time. Yeah, I'm okay with it. He did well. He played well on that track. Like, he applied himself well. He'd be disappointed in the second innings to get out to Markram, but it had become quite hard by then to bat. But I'm okay. I like seeing that in a home test, right? Like, if this is going to be a template, loads of spinners, the challenge becomes that spinner is like was he a fourth spinner? Yeah, because Akshar, Kuldeep, Jaddu, and Washi. Like, the fourth guy isn't going to bowl that much. So but Washi plays on his own merit as a batter. Like, in home conditions, I think he's done well abroad as well. So I like it.
Okay, so a 30-run lead in the first innings. Obviously, a lot we could uncover, but I want to talk about the moments that really turned this test match, right? Rahul looked pretty good in that first innings. Let's talk Shubman Gill quickly. So the third ball, he's in 0 off 2 balls. He hits this, like, sort of a slog sweep, essentially. It's a nice shot, but it's a slog sweep, gets down and swings it. And then what now in hindsight we've learned is a neck spasm. Yep, he's sore. Shockingly, I thought, okay, great, some treatment, whatever. Shockingly, he walks off the field. Then at the end of the day's play, it's announced he was stretchered off for
I see you.
treatment. Yeah, and is officially playing no further part in this test match, etc. There was a small part of me at the end of day 3 that had images of Chris Wokes walking out of the
Oh
sling.
no.
Is that when the ninth wicket fell, would Shubman come out with a neck brace or something?
I don't think we're going to fit
Listen,
that into a helmet, but he wouldn't need a helmet because he'd be batting against spin.
no, I
Really.
mean, yeah, we would have brought on Marco Janssen at that point. But I mean, you mentioned this a little bit, right? He made 4. How much of a turning point is it to lose your skipper? Because it plays in not just with the 20, 30 runs, assuming he may have scored in each innings, but also Rishabh Pant is not a good captain. So Pant had to be skipper. I mean, listen, I love the guy, but he's not a good skipper. So how much did that hurt Team India? And linked to that, how much of that is a function of the fact that this guy was just playing freaking T20s in Australia and is not managing his workload because he's young and he's been able to pull it off, but is nowhere near sustainable?
Yeah,
It's a
so
loaded question.
a few things. Look, he went off in the first innings, right? And first innings runs on that pitch would have been at an absolute premium. We've lost this by
Yeah, the
30
huge
runs.
difference between a 30-run lead and even a 60-70.
Yeah, 60, you win this game, right?
Yep.
And you're chasing like below 100 in the
Yep.
fourth innings. But look, this is all hindsight, and who knows what could have happened. But the issue is when he went off with that innings, it was the timing of the injury and him going off. And then Pant came in and played like a slightly schizophrenic innings. Became the
2
highest
6s, 2
six
4s, and
six
then
hitter in Indian Test cricket history, by the way, Rishabh Pant, in like
already, yeah.
half the games that anybody else has played, which is insane.
That's unbelievable.
But so you lost first innings runs there. Gill has been in great form. Look, he's played non-stop since IPL, probably.
Yeah. Maybe even
They've
before
not
that.
had a break. And look, it's not sustainable. No matter how fit you are, no matter how young you are, you need to have a break. And where he should have had that break realistically was that T20 series. He didn't need to be going to Australia.
Yep.
He's had loads of travel. He's in the leadership group of all the sides. It's unnecessary to have him play T20s, right? Like I'm not a big fan of that. I like him in the ODIs, I like him in the tests. I think those two formats are sufficient to keep you in good nick. I don't know. Like I just think we are not managing his workload. He's a batter, but it's not only physical, there's a bit of mental stuff that will also come in as well. But right now he's in great form, but once he loses that rich vein of form, and we've seen it happen to the best, right? How does Gill then pick himself up? Because he's on that hamster wheel of non-stop cricket currently. So I don't know why we're doing this to who the golden boy of Indian cricket is right now, to be honest. So we lost that. Look, I'm not so fussed about Gill not being captain because I don't think Gill is a terrific captain either. I don't think he does. I think he's still learning his craft.
Sure.
I think there's a large role to be played, and it comes back to the double G by the coaching staff in a young side, right? Like the guidance has to come from the likes of Bumrah, the likes of Gambhir. And look, Pant did okay to have South Africa 63 for 7 on day 2. He made the right bowling changes. He
Sure.
opened with
Yeah.
Akshar. It was fine. It all started to go a little bit pear-shaped on day 3, weirdly enough, when because they put on another 60 runs on day 3.
Yep.
Which
Yep.
and
that was Corbin Bosch with Temba Bavuma,
Yeah.
by the way. Quick note for Temba Bavuma. Phenomenal knock, right? And
What
just
a
the
guy.
guy came back after a little bit of an absence. I think he's won 10 straight or 10 of the last 11 matches.
10 out of 11.
Didn't lose, undefeated in the 11 he's been skipper. I mean, just a tremendous record.
Yeah.
But
and
huge difference, right?
Also, Kagiso Rabada didn't play this test match, by the way. He
Yeah.
was injured, so we're not even playing their best 11 so far.
Yep, correct.
But Temba, man,
Okay.
I love Temba because he's so understated.
Yeah.
He's played that great knock at Lords to win South Africa the World Test crown.
Yeah.
Injured, I might add. And Yeah, he's played the defining knock of this game again. Took a
And
defining
listen,
catch as
and
well.
amongst the the macroeconomic or the macro background of all the hate he got for being a skipper when he wasn't in good form, and the background in South Africa about them choosing to have a black captain and this and the, uh, I mean, just phenomenal that he's like, great guys, I'm going to. I mean, World Test champions, and then backed it up immediately as he came to India, right? Just just tremendous. But DJ, we're going to take a very quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk about the second innings, and then we talk about what this means in the bigger picture for Team India. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Welcome back to the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. Hey, if you're on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave us a comment. I have been sending angry WhatsApp messages all the last 12 hours or so because I'm so infuriated at this test match. If you're angry too, tell us about it. Tell
Who are
us
you
who you're
angry
bad at.
at, though? I want to know who you're angry at.
Man, I'm angry at Gambhir. I'm angry at the fact that we're not coordinated enough to, like, a sport, like anything, is a little bit like a business, and this idea that you're just like, hey, great, the curator's just saying one thing, cricket Bengal and Ganguly is now throwing Gambhir under the bus. We picked four spinners, three of who are all-rounders, one who bats at 3, one who bats at 6. Like, what are you doing? What's the long-term plan? What's the strategy? How did we go from, I have the stat that I looked up, how did we go from losing 2 tests at home from 2014 to 2021? 7 years with the Kohli, Pujara, Rahane, like those years. 7 years, DJ. We lost 2 tests. And since 2022, we've lost 6. Right? In the last 12 months, we've lost 4 of those. It just blows my mind. So that's who I'm angry at. That's why I'm upset.
Yeah, it's the
Just to,
doubling down. I think that's it's like, yeah, we ordered this.
that's
It's
the
the
part that's
lack
really
of
upsetting.
acknowledgement that, okay, guys, this was a mess. We didn't come out on top. I mean, India, to
So
be
so
fair,
let's
have
let's quickly
done
talk about it.
this.
DJ,
Yeah.
what is your take? Was it requested? Was this set up to say, listen, we don't have a lot of confidence in the young side on flatter wickets where India can give a lot of runs and then make a lot of runs. So why not do rank turners? We've historically batted well against spin without truly considering that, yes, but this is an incredibly young side with missing many of your stalwarts. Was it really a choice to do it, or was it a screw up somewhere? And now they're, to your point, they're just doubling down, saying, "Yeah, why don't we should have batted better? Akshar made runs, Sundar made runs. Why couldn't the others bat?" But the others couldn't bat because they're not trained to, they're not ready to, they're not putting in the time.
Yeah, but I mean, there's an element to preparation, right? But there's also only that much you can prepare when the ball is
Sure.
keeping low, bouncing up. There was one that hit Rickleton in the back, and then there were balls that were creeping through at like at ankle height.
Yeah.
Look, the pitch was not good, right? And it is clear that the Indian management ordered that pitch. It's
Yeah.
the curator at Eden Gardens has come up with beautiful pitches in the past.
Yeah.
This reminded me of the 1996 pitch, actually, in some ways, when we lost in the semi-final. But equally, we have done this to other teams, right? We've bowled other teams out for under 100 while they've been chasing 120 or whatever
Mm-hmm.
on day 3, day 4, and it's it's happened to us, and it's backfired. And so we have to be open about that. It's not a case of these guys not applying themselves. I mean, they've got to where they've got to, these cricketers. Like, it's not a case of, guys, let's just work harder, we'll
Yeah.
apply more. This is just, if this was a corporate environment, I don't think Gambhir would have been allowed to get away with what he just said
Yeah. The
without it
results are
being
not there.
questioned.
There's,
It's just
yep.
bullish. Like, let me
Yeah.
shout down the other guy saying,
Brash. Yeah.
yeah, you guys need to work harder. You're not performing enough. You need to, like, how does that, what message is that sending your team? I don't know. It says that, okay, like, it's exactly what I wanted, but you just haven't delivered. Like, the strategy was great because the strategy was set by me, but the execution was bad because that was done by you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a classic negative feedback loop, right? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know what more to say. You're
I
in a leadership position where you are, right? You tell me, how would a leader actually look at that?
I mean, I wouldn't have my job with results like this. First of all, the stats I showed, right? I mean, corporate America's cutthroat. You don't deliver, you're out, right? Like Gambhir. I'm not saying we should fire Gambhir yet, but I'm just like, something has to change. There's
Yeah.
accountability. There's multiple stakeholders. These are the most corporate cliche jargon
Yeah.
things I could come up with, but there's so many people involved that just Gambhir saying, the batters should have played spin better. It's like, who's coaching them to play spin? Isn't it you? Isn't it you and the batting coach you hire? If they're not doing well, get somebody else. If you need more time, well, get more time on the schedule to do training camps. If you like, and
And
Gambhir's not a anyway.
And I've
There's
never
a
had
lot I can learn.
Gambhir. I've never had a problem with Gambhir as a limited overs coach. I was always okay with him, and he's had a great results
Yeah,
as a limited overs coach. Why again he needs to be an all format coach, and we can't have like a Lakshman or someone else? So actually, or even Ravichandran Ashwin, the 2014 to 2021 home dominance was predicated around guys like Ashwin scoring
yep,
hundreds, taking
yep,
5 first, 10 first. It was just routine, right? We never
yep,
thought about it because yeah, of course, Ashwin will just come and clean the Saffers up. Like he'll bowl all the lefties out. He'll bowl like the carom ball to Hashim Amla and take his off stump after pitching it outside leg stump. Like it's the talent and the like delivery by Ravichandran Ashwin over that. I think he would. It's pretty clear how much we're missing him, right, and how much we're missing his
yeah,
bowling.
yep.
And to be fair, yesterday I think we missed his batting as well because this
Batting,
was the
dude.
classic Ashwin phase.
It has been an absolute reminder that how we've been over reliant on the lower order. And yes, I just said we have too many all rounders, etc. But we've been our top order batting has not been solid for a while. Oval match, and there's exceptions, etc. But we've been reliant on getting bailed out essentially.
Yeah,
So, Lisa,
and
you and I can probably go on forever
yeah,
about this.
sorry, the last point I just want to make before we switch is India have done well on good pitches.
Yes,
You have guys like
absolutely,
Yashasvi,
absolutely.
you
Yeah,
have guys like Jurel, you've got guys like KL, you've got Rishabh Pant, you've got batting that can score you big runs.
incredibly talented
Why are
players.
we
Yeah,
bringing the other side in by
yeah.
you? Keshav Maharaj and Simon Harmer, they are much improved bowlers from when they came here last time, right?
By the way, yeah, Maharaj has struggled in India. Simon Harmer, I was looking him up. He played against Pakistan, but basically played no major part in that World Test Championship because he had the last test he played was over 2 years ago.
But he's come
He's
here a
played
decade ago. He came here in
yeah,
2015.
he's played 13 tests, many of them probably in the subcontinent, and incredibly experienced, very wily. I mean, man of the match in the first test against India doesn't happen a lot, man. You don't see a lot of overseas spinners get that, and that shows that we underestimated him. We like how much time do you think get Jaiswal, Gill, Rahul, Jurel, your top 6 guys spent watching videos of Simon Harmer? That's my question to you.
Not much. I mean, some of them were in Australia, right?
Maybe zero. Maybe 0 time. And they
Yeah.
were like, yeah, we're at home. We'll prepare pitches. Anyhow,
Yeah.
DJ, we could rent for the next 20 minutes, but we only have a few minutes left. Let me quickly ask you, what does this mean for India going to Guwahati? So they're going to a new stadium, phenomenal stadium. Played some Women's World Cup games there and stuff, but has not had a test before. So not a lot to look back on in terms of what to expect, which means they're going to be asking for the pitch they want. Are they panic calling the curators saying, hey, let's change it up, let's do something different? And do you expect any changes? The downside of a 2-match series. Do you expect any changes in the second 11, or is it just go in this time? Of course, question mark being Gill's availability.
So I think it's going to be red soil in Guwahati. I think it's also going to be an earlier start because
It is, yeah. They're
light.
taking tea before lunch because of daylight timing, which is
Love it.
fascinating.
Love it.
Yeah, yeah,
So they're going to have tea at like 11 and then lunch at
yeah.
3. Very
1:30,
Mediterranean.
1:40. Yes.
Um,
Why not? Why
but
not?
look, I actually think it is going to be panic stations if India lose this Guwahati test. So there is an
For sure. Yeah.
incredible
Or
amount of
draw,
pressure.
to be honest. You have to win and tie up the
Correct.
series and then still leave with your tail between your legs.
Correct. And that's the worst part, right? Like we are kind of where we were with the New Zealand series as well. Like, oh, this can't happen to us. This can't happen to us. Oh my God, we've lost 3-0
It's
at
happened.
home.
Yep.
It's a side in transition, so you have to give us that as well. But
Yeah.
you possibly need to start looking beyond the all format players and look to your domestic setup because those are the guys that are playing on these pitches day in and day out, right?
Yeah.
Like you look back and you see that. I mean, Kotian is a guy that you could look at. He's a good cricketer. Like he would look at him as like an Ashwin kind of replacement in a way. No, I'm not saying Washi is not, but you need to give people their due for the yards they put in. So I suspect this is going to be the last time Gambhir is going to be allowed to just pick a side based on vibes.
Hmm.
from his other.
Based
But that's
on
what we're doing,
vibes.
right? We are
Yeah,
picking a
yeah,
side
yeah,
based on like, yeah,
yeah.
Washi's a good guy, he's got 100, or look, Jurel's a good player. We're not going beyond that. Sarfaraz came in, went back. Don't know what he did that wrong. Like in the New Zealand series, he actually got 100 in that series. Maybe I don't know. Maybe just doesn't get along or whatever. Doesn't look the part or. But you have to start giving people their due for the hard yards they put in on the domestic
Sure.
circuit. So
Yeah,
I think this will be the last test match if we lose. That Gambhir will be allowed to just pick a side. The challenge, Ashwin, is that the next test match after this is 10 months on.
yeah.
So I don't think
You're
we're
gonna
going to
get
learn a
T20
lot.
World Cup into IPL into so they're
You're not going to learn a lot if we lose this. Like, what are you going to go? Are you going to send these guys away to practice their game
yeah.
against Spain? No, they're going to move on to the ODIs, then the T20s, and it'll be Rocco time again. So everybody's going to forget, and that's it.
Actually, if anything, we may end up in the reverse situation where I've talked a lot about bias on one format translating into preferential treatment on the other. And that might happen. You might have a couple of guys have a phenomenal T20 World Cup, including Gill and these guys, and then be like, hey, we got to make them play tests. And that is going to be a huge misstep. Right, DJ, before I let you go, we've talked about tests. Let's talk a little bit about the World of T20 before we wrap up, because we would be remiss if we did not acknowledge the massive news that has come from the world of the IPL. And so teams have now officially, ahead of the mini auction. So there's a mini auction this year, December 16th, I think is the date. There's not going to be as much churn as normal, as every third year when there's a mega auction. But in the mini auction year, a couple of interesting trades. Lauren and I got to talk a little bit about this one, but let me start with Ravindra Jadeja and Sam Curran going to Rajasthan Royals. So Jadeja going back to the franchise, by the way, he won his first IPL title in Rajasthan. And Sanju-Samson moving to CSK. Now, importantly, CSK has said Gaikwad will still be captain. So Samson is moving to play under Ruturaj Gaikwad. Thoughts about that trade? How do you feel about that? That's a big, big trade. Jadeja was a big stalwart of CSK in yellow. It'll be hard to imagine him not in yellow. But equal parts, Samson was a huge part of Rajasthan.
Yeah, and I wonder whether there's a leadership ambition thing there for Jadeja, right? I because he was given the CSK reins, he had to hand them back halfway through season, and then Dhoni came back. Then Ritu's been groomed and won an IPL. Won an IPL.
Yeah.
He has won an IPL. Ritu hasn't won.
Yeah, he did, didn't
Or
he?
maybe he has. Oh, oh yes. I don't know. No, the last one they won was when Dhoni was skipper.
No, I have to make sure.
Jadeja
This is
ran to
great.
Dhoni. Dhoni picked him up. All
So
of
they
that.
won in 23.
Oh, they won in 23. Then Ritu would have been captain.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
But I was like,
Maybe he was captain. I don't know.
I don't
Maybe
know.
I'm confusing it with Patidar at RCB.
Anyway,
Ritu,
let's
right.
keep going.
Yeah, so I think Jadeja wants. I don't know whether they made any announcement on the leadership aspects of it, but I can see that being the driver there for Jadeja. Slightly, he's a little bit older now. Maybe he wants to captain an IPL side.
Yeah. Yeah.
He liked the whole Rajput angle to being in the Rajasthan Royals, right? Because he's got the whole sword
Yeah.
thing, So that's all social media vibes, which is good.
By the way, Dhoni was captain in 23 when
Yeah.
CSK won. So
Okay, how many
you were
minutes
right.
has it been in? 28 minutes.
Anyway, I brought him up
Managed
this
to
time.
bring
So
Dhoni in.
yeah. Yeah.
And Samson probably had enough of Rajasthan. I think they're quite a data-driven, like they're
Yeah.
quite a clinical type of franchise. I think CSK's got a bit more like flex, in if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah, listen, also let's not override the importance from a like marquee player geographically and stuff too, right? Since the Kochi side went belly up because of all the things that have happened, they're the biggest team for fan following from a state like Kerala is also probably the CSK. So now they've managed to win over a different market. Samson is a huge figure, as he should be in those parts, and so it could be a good marketing move as well. Obviously, a phenomenal cricketer. So let me not understate that I think he's a fantastic add to the CSK top order.
But the question I guess was, would he bat in the top order for them, or is this a move more long term where he realizes that his role for Team India is in the middle order? Because
Yeah, that
That
is
would
going to
be
be
the
very interesting to see what he
yeah.
decides to do.
And then Sam Curran actually, yeah, he's floated around a bit. He'll be
Nobody's
fine.
talking about him at all. This feels like a Jadeja-Samson trade, and it's like, oh, by the way, because of overseas player restrictions and the person, the required, etc., they had to include Curran in this as well. So they said have him.
Yeah.
A couple other big ones. So Mohammad Shami is moving to Lucknow from Hyderabad, and we had seen earlier that Shardul Thakur is moving to Mumbai
Can you see the
from.
biryani connection there, or is that just me?
It's a good biryani connection. We should ask somebody should ask Shami whether Hyderabad or Lucknow biryani is better. Dude. That'll cause quite the argument. At least he's not putting Kolkata biryani in the picture for now.
Yeah,
I guess he's
still tradable, I guess.
Anyway, thoughts on that one? How do you feel about it?
Uh, okay, I think Shami's um he would have been better off, I think, staying in Hyderabad, but they didn't do well last year, so they had to release a
Yeah,
bunch of players. The pitch probably at Hyderabad is better slightly.
yeah,
LSG is more of a slow pitch, so but look,
yeah. I
Shami.
wonder if there's a little bit of playing alongside Pat Cummins that Shami gets a little bit sort of overshadowed, and this gives him the opportunity to be the strike bowler somewhere. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
that
because
factors in.
they've kept Mayank Yadav. LSG has,
Yeah,
so that'll be a
yeah.
good combo if we can have that.
And Mayank will probably learn a lot and benefit greatly from Shami. All right, DJ, last minute or two before we wrap. A couple of other interesting ones. KKR, major shakeup. So Venkatesh Iyer, not hugely surprising. They spent too much. They may choose to try to get him back, honestly, but he'll
23
be
crores is what he got last
yeah.
year.
But he's done really nothing in the last year. Didn't have a great IPL season. So even if they choose to want to get him back for their setup, it'll be much cheaper, which will give them more options. Quinton de Kock, and most importantly, Andre Russell. 11 years at KKR. Dre Russ is no longer going to play in black and gold. Thoughts on that? He's getting older. And yet, man, even if he performs 1 in 8 games, when he does, he wins you the game and like hands down. So is he going to be a hot commodity in the auction, you think? Or has his time sort of passed a little bit?
I think he will be like he's still one of the all-time greats, right? Like
Yeah.
honestly, like the hitting, the bowling, the fielding, the it's not what it was at its peak, but it's still a hell of a lot better
Yeah.
than a lot of other players out there. So I think
Yeah.
Druss will go for big money. The challenge with Druss now is actually with the impact player rule, and I think that's going to
Hmm.
stay because it hasn't been removed. His values dropped a little bit because you
Yeah.
can just swap people in and out, right? So that
Sure.
like without that, I think he would have like commanded a massive payday like the all rounders
Yeah.
used to. I think he'll still be pretty hotly contested pick.
Yeah, I mean, a few other things happening across the game. Nitish Rana has come to Delhi. Glenn Maxwell has been released, etc. So there's a few other things happening. As we get closer to December 16th, we will dive deeper into all of the IPL teams, a preview of the auction, etc. For now, DJ, let's hope we make it through this week without you getting flack from your South African coworkers and everybody we know about an incredibly humbling, let's call it, loss at home in the Eden Gardens. And let's hope Gambhir and whoever's in charge, whether it's Shubman or Pant or somebody else, are able to fight back, get it to 1-1 in Guwahati. Right. For everybody who's listening, at One Tip One Hand on all the socials, or we are if you're on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave us a comment below. Thank you everybody for joining. DJ, thank you for joining me while on your travels. We'll be back next week to hopefully talk a little bit more positive of the game. And by the way, the game starts on Friday, and I still think we'll be back next week on Sunday because 3 days is all it takes these days for a test.
Amazing.
Thank you everybody for joining. This has been the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast, signing off.